Now maybe you're thinking, why would you even care to do this? Why don't you just start your seeds and have good, new, healthy plants? I'll tell you why. Hey guys, Donna here at Hazel Bell Farm, and welcome back to my garden, or the jungle. So, yes, it's a mess, but I thought that I would show you guys what I am doing about fall tomatoes this year. So here we are approaching the end of July, and I still have tomato plants in the garden. The cherries are producing a little bit, but I haven't really been picking them anyways. They've been bitter. It's just been so hot, so I haven't done anything really with them, but I thought I would come out and go ahead and clip some tomato leaders to show you what we're gonna do for fall tomatoes. Now, I am also going to start some from seed, and I'll be planting new plants. Now is the time to do that here if you're local in our zone. Using this fertilizer. Always follow the instructions. I'm using about a tablespoon for a bucket. Alright, it's definitely smelly. So this is what it looks like. It's about half filled, and I am going to use this to put tomatoes in. Now, there's some important things to note about which vines to take right now and which ones you don't want to take. A plant that has some disease on it is going to be questionable. If you can clip vines that don't show disease, that's going to be okay. I would not pick anything like this. So this is a cherry tomato, and you can see, like, this is obvious. You wouldn't want anything with any spots to it. This should probably come out. This might not be incredibly obvious. I don't know. I guess it depends. I mean, the top of this looks great, but you're gonna want a good 12 inches to clip, and I'm not sure I can get that off of that vine. Now these are on the same plant. They look a little healthier, but these over here, they're bright green. I don't see any spots. So this is gonna be a better place to pull off of this same plant. So I'm walking around, I'm looking at my tomato plants that look okay, I'm trying to figure out which ones I'm gonna clip from. Look how tall this one is. The top of this looks all right, but not great. I'm probably gonna leave all of these plants alone. They have some pretty considerable damage from hornworms. See how these plants are completely naked? No foliage here. That is a classic hornworm damage. Here's a better example of that. All I have is a stem here. I don't see the hornworms. I did have some really bad hornworms on these plants. I went through and plucked off about 20 of them one night. Look at all the grass in there. It's terrible. Marigold, all kinds of stuff happening in here. This basil's all flowering. I'm okay with that. It's that time of year. I mean, it's the end of July in Florida. This is part of it. This is a season to embrace. It's a lot to overcome, and it's easy to get overwhelmed. Don't let that happen to you. Just keep pushing forward and do the next best thing. What's the next right thing that you can do? So one of those things for me was I have such a hard time with the grass on the back, and I realized that every year bringing in the amount of mulch that I need for my pathways for this size garden is just gonna be too costly. And so I don't know if you can see, like these, the grass is really coming in from the back. So I got myself, it was a birthday gift actually, we got me a push lawnmower that I can run through here and kind of help get ahead a little bit of the grass and the weeds and the wild blackberries. I don't need those to flourish here in my garden because I have plenty of thornless blackberries that we like better. So this is a plant that has a little bit of spots on it, not a lot. I think what I can do is clip off some of the leaves with the spots and maybe treat the rest of it and see how it does. These are my favorite tomato plants. These are the black crim plants. They're my favorite tomatoes. I really would like to see some of these in my fall garden. I forgot my clippers in my bucket. Let me just say too, the fall garden is my favorite garden. We get to grow pretty much all the same things that we do in spring here, and some of them even do better. The last 2 years, my fall tomatoes have been far better than my spring tomatoes. A lot of people don't realize that because that's not something that's really pushed in the big box stores, that the fall growing season can be better than the spring growing season. That's something I appreciate about Florida. Right now, it's hard to appreciate. The heat is just so bad, it's intolerable. So let's see if we can pick some of these good vines. I've got my clippers and we'll put them in a bucket. So you want to use some good, clean, sharp snippers. There's a leaf-footed bug attacking me. Now you can see all of this. I'm going to take all of this off. All of these little stems. My clippers need sharpening. I'm going to cut them all off. Anything down low is getting cut off, and anything with any spots on it is getting cut off. Now, this looks like the main stem, okay? I could cut this one off too, but I like a 2-liter tomato plant. That's something I started striving for this year. So I think I'm gonna leave them both and hopes that I get a stronger plant that produces more. Everything that's down low comes off. Anything with spots comes off. Now, I do want to save some foliage. I need the plant to be able to photosynthesize. Any flowers come off though, because I want the plant to, this will be a new plant. I want it to focus on growing roots along the stem and the bottom more than trying to set fruit. So flowers come off as well. Pinch that off. Got a new little bud right here. That's gonna come off. Okay, I think this looks pretty good. That is actually a sucker in the armpit, a future sucker. It will produce fruit, but for right now, I want it gone. So is this one in the armpit there. Cut that one in half. So this looks like it has enough leaves to photosynthesize. I don't have spots. This is what's left. This is what I'm gonna put in. I could probably take these lower leaves off also, but I think this is good, so I'm gonna put it in my bucket. Now you wanna make sure that you don't have any leaves on the stem submerged down in your water. You could just use water. You could also use rooting hormone, that powder that you dip. I have some. I don't know that it works any better. I've done this with and without, and I've gotten the same results. So you could easily use that if you want, and then just put the whole stem in water. You don't necessarily need to though, but the key is you do not want to have any foliage submerged in the water. And then I like to use fertilizer. You could use a fish emulsion if you wanted something very gentle, but I like that Boomerang by Foxfire Farms. So this one does not have 2 stems, it's just one main stem, and I'm okay with that. It's a very healthy part of a plant. This was actually shooting up from the ground at ground level with a tomato plant. The other side of the tomato plant has a lot of bug damage on it, so this is great. I like this one. Again, it's one of my black crims, so it's a keeper. I'm hoping to start about 10 plants this way. I always figure I'm gonna lose 10% of whatever I start. So I'll probably have 9 tomato plants going in the ground at some point. Hopefully, hopefully that's the case. we are past what we call the golden hour, right, in the evening. So I don't know how much light the camera is picking up for you guys, but this is really the only time I have to be out here. By the time I'm finished with milking chores in the morning, it's just too hot to be out here. So I'm scanning tomato plants. Let me show you what I see. So this is my view. This is why I say it's very easy to get overwhelmed. So here's a tomato. It is pretty worse for the wear. Look on the other side. There are peppers over there, but look at all this torpedo grass. Hateful stuff. The marigolds are loving this season. There's a rosemary in there that's doing just fine. I've got some peppers I need to pick actually in there. See if you can see that. That's one of those sweet orange peppers in there. I've got peanuts in the front. These cowpeas. Okay, so I don't remember which kinds of tomatoes these are. I'll have to look them up. It's not gonna matter, they're all gonna get mixed up for me anyways. But on this trellis, these seem to have done better than other tomato plants in my garden. However, they produce much later. So I don't know how they'll do in the fall because we'll be racing against the first frost. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick a lot from here because they look the healthiest. Now, granted, I mean, there's a lot of disease. There's a lot of damage in here. But like there are no spots on this one. So where the base of the plant has a lot of issues and a lot of it got chewed up and eaten back. But look at, this is all new growth. So I'm gonna take the new growth. Now maybe you're thinking, why would you even care to do this? Why don't you just start your seeds and have good, new, healthy plants? I'll tell you why. We're going to be racing against the clock with the seasons. You can't change Mother Nature, right? So let's work with her. She says our first frost is usually around the middle of November. Let's see if we can get some tomatoes before then. This jump starts me. This buys me 4 to 6 weeks, probably 6 weeks. If I were to start seeds under lights, indoors, or even out here in the elements, it would take about 6 weeks at least to get a plant this tall that I can then plant in the ground. These are just gonna sit in some good water, start some roots, and go right in the ground. I'm super excited about it. Another thing that you can do is take one of these and drop it right into some soil in your garden. I've done that also. Actually, I did that last year. It worked very, very well. You just have to make sure you keep that soil nice and moist so that the plants can grow new roots. For me, and what my time allows right now, I am afraid that I will forget to water these new plants in the ground. So, to give them their best possible start, I'm going to start them in a bucket of water on my porch. All right, here we go. So, I want to make sure they don't drown. Leaves don't get smothered by water. So I'm going to bring this bucket up to my porch. I'll bring it out for a little bit of morning sun. I don't want them to get no sun, but I don't want them to burn either. They're gonna struggle a little bit at first because they're just stems. If you've ever cut a stem off a tomato and laid it on the ground, you know it's just gonna dry out and die. So I wanna take special care of it just like I would baby plants. So I'm gonna give it some partial sun in the mornings, here and there in the evenings, and until I see some good roots, and then I'll move it back out. I also don't want to leave it out because that water is going to get too hot. It's going to start cooking. Let me show you something. I just realized I have cows out. I knew I had cows out. I just forgot. So I don't want that water to get too hot and cook the plants either. So they won't thrive that way either. I hope to bring you guys back in my jungle. Thanks for hanging with me for a few minutes this evening. The cicadas are starting to sing, the sun's going down, I'm losing light, and I have to get these cows put up before it's dark. So thanks for hanging with me. Hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, would you like, comment, and share? And I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.